Welcome back to my channel for another episode of What's New with Human Design, my weekly Human Design Transit report. And today is November 22nd, and the Sun is moving into the gate 34 and the Earth is moving into the gate 20. I want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to everyone who is here in the United States, and to support all of us to really foster our experience and our attitude of gratitude. That's really what Thanksgiving is about gratitude. It's wonderful to have a gratitude practice. And I remember reading, the Sufi saying is that abundance can be experienced by having gratitude for what you have already received. I've always liked that one. It's a good little pattern interrupt when you're going down a dark path of feeling scarce or whatever. So having gratitude for what has already been received, that's what I'll be practicing this week. Okay, so here's the image for this week, and you will see that yes, that the 3420 is lit up, and this time it's being lit up by the Sun and the Earth as well as by the nodes. It's actually been being lit up by the nodes for months now and will be through the end of January 2022. But there's an extra boost coming in here with the Sun and the Earth. I did another video on the 3420 some months ago. You can come and look at it here, which is when the nodes had moved into this configuration. And today I'm going to share a little bit different one than what I shared in that other video. So today I'm going to talk about how the 3420 is part of individual circuitry. It's part of the integration circuit. You can see the integration circuit here. The integration circuit is part of some very complex wiring that we have in this part of the chart. It's the only part of the chart where we have different channels overlapping each other, different circuits overlapping each other. So we have both the knowing circuit and the integration circuit and the centering circuit all right here in this little constellation. And the 3420 is a part of that. The integration circuit is known as the circuitry for the soul of humanity. It includes pure life force energy that is fueling the heart, which is our love and lovability, and also our direction in life and our identity, how we understand who we are, and also fueling the expression to the throat. So the 3420 is bringing pure life force energy up to the throat. So it's an energy of activation. Traditional human design, it's known as the channel of charisma. I always thought of it as the channel of charisma and also the channel of the manifesting generator. And in quantum human design, it is the channel of responsive power. The reason that it's called that is that the 34, which is on the sacral, is called power, both in quantum human design and in traditional human design. There's just an enormous amount of power in this particular gate. It's also known as the busy gate because people who have this tend to multitask. They tend to have a lot of different things going on at once, and they are able to handle that because they have this particular wiring. This life force energy goes directly to the throat through this super fast channel, but then it slows down when it hits the throat because the 20 in traditional human design is known as metamorphosis. I don't know that I actually know what that means. But in quantum human design, it's been renamed as patience, which makes sense to me. And it has within it the kind of paradox of this super powerful energy coming out of the sacral, going up to the center of activation. But then there needs to be patience because you need to respond. This energy, anything that comes out of the sacral is going to be responsive, which is why we generators, our strategy is to respond. It's not to initiate, but it can be tricky for people who have this channel defined in their charts, and for all of us now, because we've been having this beamed at us over the last few months and went extra charge this week with the Sun and the Earth there. We've got a lot of power running through that channel. And yet, before we speak, before we activate, before we manifest, there's a kind of pause period to make sure that this is the right thing at the right time. And this is also where our sacral, for those of us who are generators and manifesting generators, is our superpower, because the sacral's response, that's our authority, helps us know, is this the right thing, first of all, and is it the right time? Because we can have so many projects going on at the same time. I know I was doing a reading for someone recently. She also is the 34, as do I. And we were talking about having lots and lots of projects at the same time. And I said, I've usually got somewhere between 5 and 10 projects that are brewing at any one time. And I cycle between them. I sequence them in my schedule, but then I always rely on my sacral in the end to tell me what direction to go in. Is it an or an today? And that's really useful with this 34 energy, because without that, and without responding, and without that pause, then you can be going in 5 to 10 directions all at the same time and not really doing anything, just kind of being like a dog chasing its tail and not going anywhere, because you're leapfrogging from thing to thing to thing to thing and not taking the time to kind of dig into anything so that you can move forward with whatever that project is. And what I found is that my sacral is really reliable for helping me to differentiate what's for me now versus what's for me tomorrow. And it could be a great project, but maybe it's not the right time to be even preparing it, but it should just go way on the back burner. And I know it's still in my subconscious, there's still stuff going on back there, and sometimes I'll get insights about it, but it's not the right time for me to be putting a lot of energy into it. So I think with this channel, with that 20, which is patience, the I Ching, Karen Parker likes to tell this story. In the I Ching, the story is of a general who's standing on the top of the hill, and he has, this is a martial metaphor, which I don't love martial metaphors, but I think you'll get the point. He has all of his armies behind him, right? And they're wanting to go and attack. And everybody is in pause. And he's got a blade of grass, and he's seeing which way the wind is blowing to see if it is the right time to go. Because if the wind is going in the wrong direction, those who they're going to be attacking will be able to tell that they're coming, be able to smell their horses, that sort of thing. So he's waiting. He's being patient until the right time. Now, if we can just remove the martial metaphor of that, and we can retain the part of the organic world, which is holding up that blade of grass and listening or feeling for that wind, and which way is the wind blowing, and is it now the right time? And so it's a great balance between the busy 34 and the 20 that is sorting really and deciding, is it the right time? This can feel a little bit like a conundrum, a little bit of at loggerheads. And you want to try to find, just as in any part of the human design chart, where you've got two different energies that have different qualities, to have them dance together rather than have them fight with each other. And so if you can always have the attitude of, how can I have my energies collaborate? How can I have them pass the baton from one to the other? How can I appreciate the value that each one of them brings, and not decide that one is good and one is not so good, or have a lot of judgment for that, but rather to recognize that all of the awakened aspects of the energies in the chart are all beneficial. And it's just a matter of how they're going to work together. Another aspect of this is that with the integration circuit in particular, but with this constellation that's happening in this part of the chart, it's really beneficial to pause and take some time to get clarity, almost as if you were emotionally defined, which again is a paradoxical when you have the fastest channel of the chart here, right? So the energy is moving really fast. Information is moving really fast. The impulses, the desires are moving very quickly. And yet we also need time to reflect, to make sure that we're moving in the right direction, to make sure that we are aligned with what's happening and we're not allowing the speed of that channel to run over us simply because it's fast. But just think about, for example, of being on a surf, great metaphor for this, where the waves can be huge underneath you and the power of the ocean, and yet you're riding on top of that. And it takes a certain amount of skill in your physical body to be surfing, right? You have to be able to find your balance when things are moving underneath you. And yet, isn't that just such a great metaphor for how our lives are these days, where things just keep moving, change is constant. We often don't know what's going to be happening, and we have to be flexible and we have to be resilient and buoyant and be able to pivot and to move and to allow things that are underneath us to come on up, and then we move up too, and then it drops down and we can drop down too, or we can move from one side to the other. And it's very similar with the kinds of strong energies that we have in the human design chart. If you've been following this for a while, I've talked about all kinds of different places where this strong energy shows up in the chart, but the 3420 is definitely the queen of all of that. This week we also have a full channel between the 6124, which is right here at the beginning of the knowing circuit. And it is tapped into the creative intelligence of the universe. And so open up to receiving some incredible downloads that are likely coming your way. This is more individual circuitry. Again, individual circuitry is here to be different. It's here to bring change. It doesn't fit in. And with the knowing circuit, it will bring you both full downloads and also a deep sense of knowing about certain things that you didn't learn anywhere and nobody told you and you didn't read it in a book or anything like that. You just have this deep sense of knowing. So it's this full channel here. Be prepared and open up to be receiving some insights that I'll be downloading through that channel. We also have a full channel of the 1949 down at the bottom of the chart, and that is connecting the root to the emotional solar plexus. And this is part of tribal circuitry. It's in the commerce circuit. And this is all about relationships and our intimacy and when is intimacy appropriate? What's the criteria for intimacy? How do we honor our sensitivity as we move into intimacy with each other? When is partnership appropriate and when is partnership not appropriate? What are the values that our partnerships are based on? What are the values that our intimacy is based on? So this is another major theme that's going to be going on for the rest of this week. You may feel a little bit of creative tension between that tribal circuitry that's all about relationships and about intimacy and the individual circuitry, which is about new forms, pursuing our projects, receiving downloads from the creative intelligence of the universe. It's not particularly relational except between us and the divine, but not so much in our human relationships. And so you want to, coming up on Thanksgiving here in the US, that is definitely tribal energy, right? And you might feel that really being activated with that 1949. If at the same time you find that you're having impulses towards just wanting to do your own thing, then find a way to honor both. There usually is a way to honor both. Honor being with your family or with other beloveds, and also honor that you are an individual that has your own direction and your own path and the things that you're creating for yourself. And everything can be included. It doesn't have to come to loggerheads when we are able to express our own needs, listen to other people's needs, and creatively heartstorm with each other to see how everybody can get what they want, at least in the short term. So enjoy this manifesting generator energy, and also this beautiful tapping into the all that is and the intimacy of your relationships this week. Many blessings, much love.